Ben opened his eyes slowly. The room was quiet, just like always. The early morning sun peeked through the curtains. The clock on his bedside table blinked 7:02 a.m. He yawned and stretched his arms, feeling the softness of his bed under him. But something felt different. He turned his head and froze. There was a young, beautiful woman sitting beside him. She had soft, natural beauty, long silver hair tied loosely and clear, calm eyes that seemed to glow gently like moonlight, though not brightly. Strange blue markings ran across her forehead and down her neck like delicate lines drawn with care. Ben sat up quickly, his heart beating fast. Who are you? How did you get in here?" The girl tilted her head slightly like she was studying his reaction. Then she spoke, her voice soft and smooth. "My name is Nira. I mean no harm. Please don't be afraid." Ben stared at her. She didn't look dangerous, but this was not normal. Are you human?" Nira smiled gently. "No, I am not from this planet." Ben blinked. "What?" "I am an alien," she said simply. "I come from a planet called Valari, far beyond your solar system. I was not supposed to land here, but my travel system malfunctioned. The program chose your room as the safest nearby space. I apologize." Ben looked around, half expecting a camera or a hidden crew to jump out and say it was a prank, but nothing happened. It felt real, too real. "You're telling me you're an alien, and you just landed in my bedroom?" he asked. "Yes," she nodded. "I needed shelter. I will not hurt you or your kind. I only need to stay here until my ship repairs itself. It may take a few days." Ben rubbed his eyes. Maybe. He was dreaming, but everything felt too clear, too sharp. Even the way she blinked slowly, the way she watched him, felt real. He stood up carefully. "Okay, let's say I believe you. Why me? Why my room?" Nira pointed to a small glowing device on her wrist. "Your building had the most stable energy. Your room had no other life signs. It was empty, peaceful. The system chose it." Ben shook his head in disbelief. "This is crazy." "I understand," she said. "It must be a shock. But I need your help." Ben frowned. "Help with what?" Nira leaned forward slightly, her voice still calm. "I need you to teach me how to be human. I must understand human behavior, emotions, habits, words. I know your language through data. But I don't understand how to live like your kind. If I am to stay unnoticed, I need someone to guide me, someone kind." Ben stared at her for a long moment. Was this a dream? An alien girl just asked him to teach her how to be human? And she looked so serious about it. He finally spoke. "Is a lot to take in, but if you really need help, I guess, I can try." Nira's lips curved into a gentle smile. "Thank you." Ben sat back down on the edge of his bed. His mind was still spinning. "Okay, first thing. Do you have a plan for food, water, clothes?" Nira shook her head. "I can adapt to some of your foods. My body adjusts to local matter. But I do not own clothing that fits this culture." Ben stood up and opened his closet. "I guess you'll need some of my older clothes. It's not perfect, but it'll do." He handed her a plain hoodie and a pair of sweatpants. "You can change in the bathroom over there?" She took the clothes and nodded. "Thank you, Ben." He looked at her in surprise. "How do you know my name?" "I read your data from the room systems. Your name was stored in a small card near your desk." Ben smiled nervously. "Smart alien." Nira gave a small smile in return and went into the bathroom. While she changed, Ben sat down, trying to calm himself. Was he really talking to an alien? Was this actually happening? A few minutes later, Nira came out wearing his oversized hoodie and sweatpants. They hung loosely on her frame, but she looked strangely normal. "You don't look like an alien anymore," Ben said. "That is good," she replied. "Now, I must learn how to blend in." Ben nodded slowly. "Okay, we'll take it one step at a time, but first, breakfast." She followed him to the small kitchen. Ben poured cereal and milk into 2 bowls and placed one in front of her. Nira stared. At it. How does one eat this? Ben chuckled, with a spoon. Like this, she picked up the spoon and copied his movements. Slowly, she tasted her first bite. Her eyes widened a little. This is sweet, she said. Yeah, it's just cereal. Nothing special. She took another bite and nodded. I like it. They ate quietly. Ben kept glancing at her. Even though she looked human now, he couldn't forget what she really was. And she was sitting in his apartment eating cereal like a normal guest. After breakfast, she stood and said, I will do my best to learn. Thank you for helping me. Ben shrugged. I still don't know what I'm doing, but you're welcome. Then Nira looked at him with a serious expression. Ben, there's something I must tell you. I am not the only one who came to this planet. Others may arrive. Some may not be as peaceful. Ben's heart skipped. Wait, what does that mean? Nira looked toward the window, her eyes distant. It means we must be careful. Very careful. The next morning, Ben woke up early, quietly walked into the living room. Nira was already awake, sitting on the floor with her legs crossed, looking out the window. She seemed calm, almost like she was meditating. The soft sunlight touched her face, and for a moment, she looked like any other girl. Good morning, Ben said. She turned and gave a small smile. Good morning, Ben. I watched the sunrise. It was beautiful. Ben nodded. Nice. Especially when the city is still quiet. She stood up and walked over to the kitchen. May I have cereal again? Ben laughed. Sure. You really liked it, huh? I did. It is sweet. It makes me feel light, she said, trying to find the right word. Ben poured 2 bowls and handed her one. As they ate, Nira asked, Today, can you teach me how humans behave outside? I want to understand more. Ben nodded. Yeah, we can do that. But you need to look more normal first. The markings on your skin, we should cover them. Nira gently touched the lines on her cheek. I can fade them for a while. She pressed something on the small silver bracelet she wore, and the markings slowly disappeared, blending with her skin. Her face now looked fully human. Ben blinked. That's pretty cool. Okay, now let's find you something to wear that won't look strange. He gave her a plain t-shirt and jeans from a box of old clothes. After a few minutes, Nira came out wearing them, looking almost like any other girl in the neighborhood. The clothes were a bit loose, but she didn't seem to mind. Ben smiled. Perfect. Now you just need to act normal. She raised an eyebrow. What is normal? Ben laughed again. Good question. Let's go find out. They walked together through the neighborhood. Ben kept things simple. Pointed out every day, places the grocery store, the park, the bus stop. Nira watched everything with deep curiosity. She asked questions about everything. Why people walked dogs, why cars honked, why a child cried at the park. They sat on a bench. Children were playing on the swings. People jogged past. Dogs barked and chased frisbees. Nira looked around. There is so much sound, so many feelings. It's hard to understand it all. Yeah, Earth is full of noise and emotions, Ben said. But you'll get used to it. A little girl ran by, chasing a balloon. Nira watched her with a soft expression. That child laughed even after she fell. Why? Ben smiled. Because she was happy. Sometimes, happiness is stronger than pain. Nira thought about that. Interesting. My people do not laugh when they fall. Well, humans are strange, Ben said, joking. But beautiful, Nira replied softly. Next they went to a small bookstore. Nira ran her fingers over the covers and read a few titles out loud. She was especially interested in a book about art. Humans draw what they feel, she asked. Yeah, Ben said. Art is one way we show emotion. Some people paint, others write poems or music. I want to learn that, she said. Can you teach me someday? Ben nodded. Sure, but first you need to learn how to drink coffee. They went to a quiet cafe nearby. Ben ordered a hot chocolate for Nira, just in case coffee was too strong for her. She held the warm cup carefully and took a sip. Her eyes widened. This is amazing. Ben smiled. Glad you like it. They sat there, talking about Earth, life, and small things. Nira was full of questions. Why do people wear rings? Why do humans cry when they're happy? Why do people dance at weddings? Ben tried to explain the best he could. Sometimes he didn't even know the answers himself, but he enjoyed her curiosity. It made him see the world in a new way. Later, they walked back to the apartment. On the way, Nira stopped and stared at a puppy tied to a post outside a store. What is this creature? That's a dog, Ben said. People keep them as pets. They're friendly. Nira crouched and looked into the puppy's eyes. The puppy wagged its tail and licked her hand. Nira smiled brightly. I like this creature. Ben laughed. I think it likes you too. When they reached the apartment, the sky had turned orange. With the setting sun, Nira sat on the floor again, hugging her knees. I learned so much today, she said quietly. You did good, Ben said. You're picking things up fast. But I still don't understand feelings, she said. They are big, loud inside the body. Ben nodded. Yeah, emotions are hard, even for humans. We feel a lot, even when we don't want to. Nira looked at him. Do you feel anything now? Ben looked into her soft eyes and paused. Yeah, I do. She tilted her head. Can you explain it? He thought for a moment. Right now I feel curious, a little nervous, but also calm. Because I'm sitting here with someone who doesn't belong here, but somehow feels right. Nira gave a soft smile. I think I feel something too, but I don't have the words yet. Ben nodded. That's okay. We'll find them together. That night, after dinner, Nira looked up at the stars through the window. I wonder if anyone is watching from my home, she said. Do you miss them? Ben asked. Sometimes, but this world, it makes me feel alive. Your people are full of light, even in chaos. Ben was quiet. He felt something new too, something growing. Before going to sleep, Nira turned to Ben. Her voice was soft. Thank you, Ben, for helping me. Tomorrow, will you teach me more? Ben nodded. Yeah, tomorrow we'll try music. She smiled. I would like that. And as Ben turned off the lights, he knew something had changed. This was no longer just about hiding an alien. This was the start of something new for both of them. The next morning, Ben walked into the living room and saw Nira sitting with headphones on. She had found them near his computer and was now listening to soft music, her eyes closed. When she noticed him, she smiled. I like this. The sounds. They touched something inside. Ben smiled too. That's called music. People listen to it when they're happy, sad, or even when they want to feel calm. Nira nodded slowly. I can feel it in my chest. Like soft waves. Ben sat beside her. Music connects people, even if they don't speak the same language. I want to make music someday, she said. I want to make people feel things. Too, you will, Ben replied. You've already started to change things around here. Later that day, Ben and Nira walked to a nearby art supply store. Ben had promised to show her more ways humans express feelings. He bought pencils, paints, and a sketchbook. At home, he set everything on the table. Okay, he said. Let's try drawing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just draw what you feel. Nira looked unsure at first, but she picked up a pencil and slowly began to sketch. Her hand moved carefully, as if she was afraid to make a mistake. He watched, quietly, not wanting to disturb her focus. After half an hour, she showed him the drawing. It was a soft picture of the earth from above, but with light beams connecting different places like tiny glowing strings. Ben looked at it, impressed. This is amazing. What does it mean? It's how I see your planet, she said. So many people, so many hearts. It's all connected by something invisible. Ben was quiet. Her words stayed in his mind. Over the next few days, they did more things together. Ben showed her how to cook a simple meal, eggs and toast. Nira was clumsy at first. She broke 2 eggs by accident and dropped a spoon. But she laughed at herself. I am not made for kitchens, she joked. Don't worry, Ben said. Most people aren't. They watched cartoons in the evening. Nira laughed at the silly characters and asked many questions about why they did such strange things. She also helped Ben clean the apartment and organize the bookshelf. She was quick to learn and liked everything neat and balanced. But even with all the happy moments, Ben noticed something else. Sometimes, Nira would stop and stare at the sky. Through the window, she would go quiet for long minutes. One evening, as they sat on the couch, Ben asked gently, "Are you thinking about home?" Nira looked at him. "Yes. I wonder what they would think if they saw me now, laughing, eating cereal, painting. Would they be angry?" Ben asked. Not angry, just confused. "My people are not used to emotions. They think feelings are dangerous." Ben looked at her, surprised. "Why?" "Because emotions are hard to control," she said. "They believe logic keeps us safe, but I think logic makes us empty." Ben nodded slowly. "So you came here, not just by accident?" She said, "Part of me wanted to come. I wanted to know what it means to feel, to live." There was silence between them, a soft, warm silence. That night, something unusual happened. Nira was in the kitchen, looking at her bracelet. The small silver device began to blink softly. She pressed a button, and a light projection appeared above it. Strange symbols floated. In the air, Ben walked in and saw the light. "Is that from your home?" "Yes," Nira said quietly. "It is a message. My people have found me." Ben's heart skipped. "What does it say?" "They will arrive in 3 days. They will take me back." Ben felt a heavy feeling in his chest. And then, Nira looked at him, her voice calm, but sad. "When I return, they will remove all memories of this visit. I will forget everything, this city, this apartment. You." Ben stood still. "That's not fair." "It is their rule," she said. "They believe emotions are like fire, beautiful but dangerous." He sat down, not knowing what to say. "I'm sorry, Ben," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't," he said quickly. "You made my life better. You made me feel something. Real." Nira sat beside him. And these days were worth it. The next morning, they didn't talk much. Both were thinking the same thing, 3 days left. But instead of being sad, Ben had an idea. "Let's make a list of everything you want to do before you go." Nira's eyes lit up. "Yes, let's do it." They called it the Earth List. Nira wrote it down in a notebook. Watch the sunset at the lake, eat ice cream, dance under the stars, visit a museum, take a photo together, learn a human song, say goodbye properly. Ben read the list and smiled. "Okay, we have a lot to do." Day, they went to the city museum. Nira walked slowly, stopping at every painting and sculpture. She asked about ancient Earth history, about humans who painted sadness, joy, or hope. They were not afraid to feel, she said. No, Ben replied. They shared their feelings with the world. They took a photo near a fountain. Ben showed her how to smile for the camera. This picture, she said, will be the only thing I won't remember. But maybe it will remember me. Ben didn't know what she meant, but he took her hand and gave her a small smile. At night, they played soft music. Nira stood in the middle of the room and looked up at the ceiling. "Teach me to dance," she said. Ben stood beside her and moved slowly to the rhythm. Nira copied his steps, laughing when she made mistakes. The music wrapped around them like a warm blanket. They danced together, not speaking, just feeling. Ben looked at her and whispered, "I don't want you to go." Nira looked back. "I don't want to forget." The day started quietly. The sky was cloudy, and the air felt heavy, like something important was coming. Ben stood near the window, holding a cup of tea. Behind him, Nira sat at the table, writing something in her notebook. She had been writing since early morning. Every page was filled with short lines, drawings, and words she had learned. It was her way of saving memories. If her mind might forget, the notebook would not. Ben walked over. "What are you writing?" Nira looked up and smiled softly. "I'm writing everything. I don't want to lose your name. Taste of chocolate, the color of the sunset. The word friend. She turned the page and showed him a small drawing of a dog. Even the puppy from the store. Ben smiled, but his chest felt tight. That's a good idea. I hope someone reads it one day, she said, even if I can't. That afternoon they went to the lake. It was number 1 on their list. The water was still, and the trees swayed gently in the wind. They sat on a wooden bench and watched the sky slowly turn orange. This place is peaceful, Nira said. I wish I could freeze this moment. Ben nodded. Me too. At him and asked, Do you think I'll change after I go back? Ben thought for a while. Maybe, but I believe a part of you will always remember. Even if your mind forgets, your heart won't. Nira smiled, touched by his words. She took off her bracelet and held it in her hand. It blinked once bright blue. Then a new message appeared in the air. Strange symbols floated again, but this time they moved faster. Ben leaned closer. What does it say? Nira read silently, her face serious. They are almost here. They will arrive tomorrow night. Ben felt a chill in his chest. Tomorrow. Yes. She whispered, They say it's time for me to return. No delay. Ben didn't know what to say. Everything felt too fast. The last few days had been beautiful, funny, sweet, full of emotion. But now, they had only one day left. He looked at her. Is there really no way to stop it? Nira shook her head slowly. If I refuse, they will remove me by force. And if I hide, they will erase your memories too. I don't want that. Ben's heart sank. So no matter what we do, I still have to leave, she said. They sat in silence as the sun dropped behind the trees, turning the lake golden. Nira rested her head on Ben's shoulder. But I made one small request, she whispered. Ben turned to her. What kind of request? I asked them for permission to return, she said. One day, if I'm ready, I want to come back too. Earth. Ben stared at her. Did they say yes? I don't know yet, she said. They didn't say no. That night, back in the apartment, Nira looked through her notebook again. She ran her fingers over each page like she was memorizing. Them. Ben sat beside her and held up his phone. I have an idea, he said. Let's record a video. Something only for you. If you ever return, you can watch it and remember. Okay. Nira looked surprised. That's beautiful. Ben started recording, looked into the camera and smiled gently. Hi, Nira. If you're watching this, it means you came back. Or maybe you're somewhere far, but still thinking about this little apartment. He turned the camera toward her. Nira blinked, then smiled shyly. Hello, other me. I hope you are strong. I hope you still remember the taste of hot chocolate, the sound of music, and the kindness of a boy named Ben. Ben laughed softly. Nice message. She looked at him. Will you keep it safe? I promise, he said. The next morning was their last together. They finished the Earth list. Ice cream. A photo in front of a flower shop, singing a short human song with silly words. Nira laughed more than ever before. Her smile was gentle but had a sadness behind it, like a goodbye hiding inside. In the afternoon, Ben gave her a small gift. It was a simple necklace with a tiny blue stone. It's not from space, he said. Just a stone I found on a beach trip once, but it reminded me of your eyes. Nira touched it gently. Thank you. I'll keep it close. As the sun started to set, they returned home. Nira's bracelet blinked again. This time it was a red light. They are here, she said quietly. Ben stood up. So, this is it? Nira nodded. Yes, but before I go, there is one last thing. She reached into her pocket and gave him her notebook. This is for you, even if I forget. You can remember for both of us. Ben held the notebook close. I will. A soft hum filled the room. In the center of the living room, a faint circle of light began to appear. It wasn't bright, just soft, like a mirror of starlight. Nira walked toward it and stopped just before entering. She turned to Ben. Her eyes looked different, not afraid, but full of feeling. Thank you, Ben. You didn't just teach me how to be human. You taught me how to live. Ben stepped closer, and you reminded me what life really means. They looked at each other for a long second. Then Nira did something she had never done before. She hugged him. It was a quiet, warm hug that said everything without words. I will try. To come back? She whispered. I'll wait, he said. She stepped into the light. For a moment, she stood still, looking back one last time. Then the light shimmered and faded on. She was gone. Ben stood alone in the silent room. The notebook was still in his hand. The necklace lay on the table. The video on his phone was saved. Outside, the stars blinked softly, somewhere far away. Maybe Nira was looking up at the same stars, holding onto a tiny blue stone, and a memory that her heart refused to forget. 3 days had passed since Nira left. Ben still woke up early every morning, but now the apartment felt too quiet. He made tea and sat alone by the window, where he used to find Nira watching the sky. Her notebook still rested on the table, right? Where she had placed it, every night before bed, Ben read a few pages from it. Some pages had small drawing stars, trees, a smiling dog. Others had single words written in neat letters. Joy, taste, dance, human. He smiled softly when he saw the word Ben written in her handwriting. It was surrounded by tiny stars she had drawn around it. He missed her. Not just because she was different, but because she had changed something inside him. Her questions made him look at the world in a new way. Her smile made simple things feel important, and even though she was gone, her presence still lived in the quiet spaces of his home. On the 4th morning, as Ben stood watering the plants, on his small balcony he noticed something strange. A thin beam of light flickered for a moment in the sky. It was fast. It was like a shooting star. But it moved slowly and then disappeared. Ben narrowed his eyes and whispered, that looked familiar. But nothing else happened. Still, his heart began to beat a little faster. A small hope started growing inside him, though he tried to push it away. Don't do that to yourself, he said quietly. She said she might return, but no promises. He sighed and went back inside. That night, Ben played the video they had recorded. He watched Nira's face on the screen, her soft smile, her calm voice, the way her eyes lit up when she said his name. Hello, other me. I hope you are strong. Ben paused the video and looked at the screen. I hope you're strong too, he said. He placed the phone down and looked out the window. The stars were bright again. The sky felt deeper tonight, like it was trying to tell him something. Then he heard it, a knock, soft, gentle. 3 small knocks at the door. Ben stood still. His heart jumped. Another knock came. He walked slowly to the door, not sure if he was dreaming or awake. He opened it, his breath caught. She was standing there, Nira, wearing a long gray coat. Her hair pulled back, and that familiar, soft smile on her face. Hello, Ben, she said. Her voice just the same. Ben stared at her, eyes wide. Nira. Is it really you? She nodded slowly. Yes. I came back. Ben stepped aside quickly, and Nira walked into the apartment. She looked around, as if trying to remember each corner. Then her eyes stopped at the notebook on the table. You kept it, she said. Of course, Ben said. I read it every day. She walked over and touched the cover gently. I'm glad. Ben stepped closer. But how? She said your people wouldn't allow it. They didn't want me to return, Nira said softly. But I made a choice. I proved that I learned something valuable on Earth. I showed them that emotions don't make us weak, they make us real. Ben was amazed. So they let you come? Back. They agreed to give me time. Not forever, but enough. Ben smiled, a little confused but happy. Enough for what? To finish learning, she said. To continue feeling. That evening they sat on the couch again, just like before. Ben made hot chocolate for both of them. Nira took a sip and smiled, still sweet. Ben laughed. Some things never change. They talked for hours. Nira told him about her return. Journey, her people had tested her thoughts and feelings. Some still believed emotions were a problem. but others began to listen. Nira's experience on Earth had opened a small door. Now she was back not to hide, but to live. Ben listened quietly, couldn't stop smiling. She was real. She had come back. Over the next 2 days, they made new memories. They went to the bookstore again. Nira bought her own notebook this time. She said, "This one will hold my new life." They walked through the park where they had first sat together. Nira noticed new things now: flowers blooming, children drawing with chalk. On the pavement, a woman teaching her dog tricks. "I see more clearly now," she said. "Feelings make the world richer." They visited the lake again, this time with a blanket and snacks. Nira dipped her fingers in the cool water and laughed when the fish came close. Ben took her photo again, this time be able to remember it. On the last night of the 3 days, they stood on the balcony, watching the stars. The sky was quiet, peaceful. Nira turned to Ben. "I have to go back again, just for now, but I'll return soon." Ben looked at her. "Not sad this time. I believe you." She smiled. "I won't forget anything this time. Not your kindness, not your jokes. Not the way you looked when you first saw cereal." Ben laughed. "Oh, that was your first favorite food." "It still is," she said. They didn't need more words. The silence between them was full of understanding. Before she left, Nira gave Ben a second necklace, a silver one with a soft blue gem inside. "This is from my home," she said. "Now we've traded memories." Ben held it tight. "Thank you." She stepped into the soft beam of light that appeared again. But this time, there was no sadness, just hope. "I'll be back," she said. "I'll be waiting," Ben replied. And then she was gone. Ben stood quietly on the balcony for a long time. He held the necklace in one hand, the notebook in the other. He looked at the stars, smiling softly. 3 days had brought him more wonder than a lifetime, and he knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Days passed quietly after Nira's second departure. Ben found himself sitting by the window often, holding the 2 necklaces, one from Earth, one from Nira's homeworld. They felt like little bridges between 2 very different places, but connected by something much stronger: friendship and hope. His apartment was still filled with memories. The small notebook, the drawings, and even the soft scent of the hoodie Nira had worn. All these things made him smile and sometimes feel a little sad. One afternoon, Ben was at the park, sitting on their favorite bench. The wind was soft, and the leaves moved gently in the sunlight. He watched children play and dogs run, but his thoughts were with Nira. He whispered to himself, "Will she come back again?" As if answering, his phone buzzed softly. A message appeared on the screen. It was from an unknown number, but the message was clear. "I'm coming home soon." Nira Ben's heart jumped. A big smile spread across his face. He answered quickly, "I will wait." A week later, the air was warm and flowers bloomed in the city. Ben felt something new growing inside him, a feeling of excitement mixed with calm. That evening, as the sun began to set, there was a soft knock on his door. Ben stood still for a moment, then slowly opened it. There she was, Nira. She looked different this time. Her silver hair flowed freely, and her eyes sparkled with quiet strength. She wore a simple dress that blended with the city's colors, but her presence was bright, like a new morning. "Ben," she said softly, "I am home." Ben stepped aside to let her in. "Welcome back, Nira. I'm so happy to see you." Nira smiled and looked around the apartment. "Feels like I never left." They sat together in the living room. Nira shared stories about her world, about how her people were beginning to change because of what she had learned here on Earth. "There is still much to do," she said, "but they are listening. They want to understand feelings not as weaknesses, but as strengths." Ben listened carefully, felt proud of her. "I want to stay here with you," Nira said quietly, "not just as a visitor, but as someone who belongs." Ben looked at her, his heart full. "I want that too." Days turned into weeks. Nira learned more about Earth. She explored new places and met some of Ben's friends. Everyone liked her gentle nature and kind smile. Ben and Nira grew closer every day. They shared meals, laughter, and dreams. One evening, as they walked under the stars, Nira stopped and looked at Ben. "Thank you," she said, For everything. For teaching me to be human, and for teaching me to be myself. Ben smiled. You taught me to see the world in a new way. Nira took his hand, and for the first time, they walked quietly, not needing words. One night, Nira showed Ben a small device. It was a star-shaped pendant glowing softly with blue light. This is a gift from my people, she said. It holds our stories, our memories. I want to share it with you. Ben accepted it carefully. It's beautiful. It means trust, Nira said, and hope. Ben looked at her. Then I promised to keep it safe. They sat together, watching the stars, feeling the quiet magic between two worlds. Months later, Ben and Nira moved to a bigger place. It was filled with light and new memories. They had a small garden where they planted flowers from Earth and seeds from Nira's planet. Their life was simple, full of small joys. One morning, Ben woke up to find Nira watching him with a smile. What are you thinking? She asked. Ben reached out and took her hand. I'm thinking, this is home. Nira nodded. Home is where we feel alive. They both laughed softly. Their story was no longer just about an alien visitor or a human friend. It was about two hearts different, but connected together. They proved that friendship and love could cross stars, break barriers, and create something beautiful. 1 year had passed since Nira returned to Earth for good. Ben and Nira's life had changed in many ways. But some things stayed the same, like their friendship and quiet moments together. Their apartment was brighter now. The walls held new paintings. Nira had made colors that spoke of stars, forests, and hopes. The small garden on the balcony bloomed with flowers from both Earth and Valari, Nira's home planet. Ben woke up early one morning, as usual. He looked over and saw Nira still asleep beside him. Her silver hair spread across the pillow like soft waves. He smiled gently. It was a peaceful moment, a gift they both shared after so many storms. After breakfast, they decided to visit the park where they had spent so many afternoons. The sun was warm, and the air smelled like spring. As they walked, people smiled and waved at Nira. Some remembered her from before. Others just liked her calm, kind nature. A little boy ran up to her. Holding a small flower. For you, he said shyly. Nira knelt down and accepted the flower with a smile. Thank you. It's beautiful. Ben watched them with warmth in his heart. Nira had become part of this world. At the park bench, Ben pulled out the old notebook, the one Nira had given him long ago. Do you want to add something? He asked. Nira nodded. She took a pencil and wrote slowly. We are different stars, but we shine together. Ben smiled and added, Friendship is a light that never fades. They closed the notebook and placed it back in Ben's bag. Later that day, Ben and Nira visited a small school. Nira wanted to share her story about her world, about feelings, and about hope. The children listened carefully as Nira spoke in simple words. She told them how emotions made life beautiful, and how differences were something to celebrate. After her talk, many children asked questions. Can you teach us Valari songs? What does your planet look like? Can we be friends too? Nira laughed softly. Of course, friendship has no limits. Ben watched her, proud and happy. This was more than he had ever hoped for. That evening, as the stars appeared in the sky, Ben and Nira sat on their balcony. The city lights twinkled below, but the stars above were brighter. Nira looked at Ben. Do you think humans and Valari will ever live together? Ben thought for a moment. I believe so, because people like you make it possible. She smiled and took his hand. Together, we can build bridges between worlds. Ben squeezed her hand gently. And I want to be by your side every step. They sat quietly, feeling the future full of promise. Days turned into months, and their life continued like a beautiful story. They learned from each other, laughed, and dreamed. One morning, Ben surprised Nira with a small wooden box. I made this for you, he said. She opened it carefully. Inside was a simple ring carved with stars and leaves. "It's a promise," Ben said softly, "that no matter where we come from, we will walk this path together." Nira's eyes filled with tears of joy. She took his hand and nodded, double quotes, "Yes, together." Their story was no longer about two different worlds. It was about one heart, brave enough to love and learn. The universe was vast and full of mysteries. But Ben and Nira knew one thing clearly. Friendship, kindness, and hope could cross any distance, even between stars, and so, under the quiet glow of the stars, they began a new chapter, one filled with endless possibilities.